Welcome to Tech with Heart. I am your host, Michelle Calloway, and we are all about empowering business owners to be successful in a rapidly changing digital environment. And today we have a very special guest, Ken Rochon, but we also have an even more special guest, his son, Kenny, who actually happens to be having a birthday coming up, and he is a young Minecraft player. And he is wanting to come on and share with us a little bit about his future dreams of being in technology himself. So with that, let me just welcome Ken and his son, Kenny. Yay! Thanks, guys. So Kenny, explain to us a little bit about what you want to be when you get older.
I want to be a coder.
You want to be a coder, and the reason you want to be a coder is because?
When I started to play Minecraft, I wanted to start making games.
And you like the idea of making games that others can play together?
Mm-hmm.
That is fantastic. We wish you well, and happy birthday coming up here real soon.
I'll show you. He has a new book coming out, but is his very first book coming out on his birthday tomorrow. Can he tell one joke?
Sure. Can you tell us a funny joke, Kenny?
What did the buffalo say to his son when he was leaving for school?
I don't know.
Bison.
Bison. Of course.
Thank you so much, Ken, for bringing your son on just now. And it's beautiful when you see that there are young people out there, even that young, aspiring to be active in the technology development of our future. So right on. So Ken, let me just do a quick introduction if you don't mind, because you are a super special guest. In today's show, we're talking about technology specifically and how we can use media and other systems to really propel a movement, a social movement, or an initiative of some sort. And Ken has done a successful job with that. And he is also a social proof celebrity event photographer. He's one of the best photographers I know. He does phenomenal work. And he is the co-founder of the nonprofit organization, the Keep Smiling Movement. And that's the movement we're going to be talking about today. He has had over 100,000 clicks and engagements per week on his website and social media pages. And he's exceeded 995 five-star reviews, making him one of the most recommended businesses worldwide. So we're going to talk a lot more about how he got to that point to help you, whether you are doing a movement, whether you are building a business, or even starting up a nonprofit with a wonderful mission. Welcome to the Tech with Heart stage, Ken.
Well, thank you, Michelle. So good to be here.
We are all about having wonderful people on the show that are doing a phenomenal job with whatever it is that they are out there doing in the business sector. Even though this is a nonprofit, that movement that you're doing, it is something so incredibly relevant to our times right now with what's going on. 2020 here, we just need more of what you got. But on top of that, we really want to empower business owners to realize that they can implement these same exact strategies if they really want to take either their business to the next level, or they have a seriously awesome killer campaign that they want to do incredibly well and have that be like, viral in a way. So let's talk about your movement. Please tell us a little bit about the Keep Smiling movement.
Well, first of all, I want to say the best viral thing to catch is a smile. So we'll start there. Thank you for allowing my son to share a joke. It being his birthday, and he's turned 7 this Sunday, and he has his book coming out. And I just want to say that we raise him to be a future leader, but we raise him to be a future leader using technology. And so we put education tools in his iPad right out of the gate. We give him problem-solving games to do on his iPad. And the world is about solving problems if you want to be successful. The more problems you solve, the more abundance you create typically for yourself, and obviously the more impact you make in the world. So I wanted to say that first and foremost, because for you to have your initiative focused towards the future and teaching kids and having a foundation that actually caters to kids' wishes and dreams, I applaud you for that. And I actually want to show off one of my favorite covers of the Keep Smiling movement. This is the expanded version, but your book is coming out, I guess, in about a month, which will mean that you're on my show. And so thank you again for having me on your show.
So I'm delighted. I'm so excited to be partnering up with you. Ken and I met on an incredible marketers cruise, and instantly just connected, like-minded, folk just kind of click. And he loves the augmented reality technology that Revelio, the parent company of Tech with Heart, has created so that we can make interactive experiences, happen for people. And we're utilizing the augmented reality technology on the Keep Smiling book covers, which adds another level of engagement and excitement and a wow factor and an emotional connection when you see those covers come alive. So we're stoked to be partnering with you guys on that realm. But can you go ahead, please share what the Keep Smiling movement is? And
so, yeah, I avoided that question so you could ask it again, just so you know. So the Keep Smiling movement is really a celebration of leadership. It's a celebration of leadership of people that are creating positive content, positive messages, positive leadership, community, etc., and are doing good causes and movements. And I've learned so much from doing this movement. And one of the biggest things I've learned is how to make a movement scalable, how to make it technically fit, how to make it engaging, et cetera. So I know we're going to be talking about those specific aspects. And I want to give a shout out to Captain Lou, because Captain Lou is the lovely gentleman who had the Power of One concept of creating a marketer's cruise. And of course, Mike Filsame and Tom Beal as well. But that idea that he had causes shows like this to happen. And I think that is a technological piece too, because Captain Lou's using technology. He's using Facebook groups. He's using definitely a very strong email campaigns that cause, and his website causes a tremendous amount of conversion because it's so inviting. And he knows his niche market really well, which are marketers. And so I'm very grateful after being on that cruise 8 times that I got to meet you, because you certainly are a force in technology. But the bigger part of you that I love is that your technology is combined with your heart. You actually care about making a difference in the world.
Yes, that's what Tech with Heart is all about. So one of the things that I love and that I'm able to help bring to the table in this realm of being a thought leader in the technology space is that, hey, you know what? Technology is absolutely necessary, critical. I think more businesses are realizing that now in 2020 than ever before. Some of them have heard of it, they kind of knew it, but they weren't embracing it. Well, then when the COVID-19, isolation shelter in place thing happened, so many businesses were just like, so what are we going to do now? People aren't going to come to our brick and mortar store. Well, hopefully those businesses, if they are able to survive, realize how imperative it is that you have an online presence and able to make sales directly from online, and how you can automate that so effectively and efficiently, but don't lose sight of that human connection, that quality customer care aspect, that piece that connects us all as human beings and makes us want to do business with one another. So I'm a big believer in what Wonder Woman says, is that technology is a beautiful, powerful thing, but we need to make sure that we use it properly, because it could also destroy us. So we don't want to let things like artificial intelligence necessarily replace our need for one another. We want to use it in a way that it actually enhances our connection with one another. So thank you for bringing that up, because tech without heart, it could get really scary. We just want to make sure that we are the developers of it for the right reasons.
Exactly.
So let's talk about strategies a little bit, Ken. So you said that you use this amplification process for businesses, and you're using it for your movement. But let's talk a little bit about how did you figure out what to do to get this movement to become such a big success? Maybe talk about your grassroots efforts and what you've learned along the way. Kind of recap where you've been and where you are now.
Okay, sure. So being a past scientist and a physics and chemistry teacher, everything I think about is the scientific method. What works? What variables are you implementing into the data and into your experimenting to actually cause a difference or cause a different result or a powerful result? So one thing that people may underestimate is time. So time from the standpoint of when to do things and how often to do things, and then the most important part is the cumulative hours of doing something to hit a tipping point. So I've watched several of my businesses tip, and they've always tipped because I put in so many hours a day times the amount of days in a year. And so if you're doing an hour a day, you're going to have a slower tipping point, and it'll be a milder tipping point. But if you are up for your dream actually becoming a realization, it's amazing in 9 months if you're putting in 12 and 15-hour days. Not that not everyone can afford that, but if you can devote yourself kind of close to that level, that variable of time and frequency and actual cumulative hours will cause a movement, and also cause your brand and your mission and your top of mind to really show up. So that's an important one. Speed is associated with time, of course. So when I'm taking pictures of influencers or I'm meeting people, people don't want to here, hey, I'll get your photo in about 2 or 3 weeks, or you're going to follow up in 2 or 3 weeks. So I think if you're serious about your mission, your message, and whatever your deliverables are, if you can get them turned around in typically 24 hours and less if you have scalability or automation in place, then that is a crucial, in your face, I am serious, I want to do work with you, I want to give value. And those are two things. And then having obviously tech people as partners, alliance partners, massive, because you're going to get advice on how to not make mistakes or how to avoid them. And you're also going to get advice on, instead of looking at everything that's available, what are the 1 or 2 things you need to look at so that you actually make a great choice. So between you and RJ, who's doing the bots, and we have an app developer, I mean, we're pretty cutting edge. And I was so excited when I met you because I had heard about augmented reality way back in 2008, and just like you had, and we implemented it. It was just too early, and so you're utilizing it and understand how to utilize it. So I'm so excited that our authors will have that extra punch, that before you even start their book, the author's speaking to you and they're saying, hey, thank you for taking a dose of hope from my book, and this is what I'm about, and this is what I'm committed to you getting out of my book. So that's so invaluable to have a video conversation with the reader before they even start the book.
Well, thanks for sharing all that, Ken. So let me just kind of reiterate too, a few things that I know that it takes to kind of do a little bit of back work before you actually get to the point where you're able to be successful. And we talk a lot about that on our show and in our Tech with Heart network, is the need to have a solid brand. You need to understand that a brand isn't just a logo. It's not just a name. There's so much more to your brand. And you spoke about efficiency with time. And when you're trying to engage somebody, you want to have your message really kind of narrowed down to like just nuggets that are going to, connect hopefully with them as far as who you are, what you're about, and get them engaged in that way. And then being able to have that quick follow through with being able to send them something, because there's so many different mechanisms that we can build so that we have things like keywords, for instance. You can have keyword automation, whether it be through a Facebook post, or you can have just text this keyword to this number and be feeding people that kind of content. And of course, when you're doing it that way, you're also getting them into your database so that you can be following up with them again and again and again. So there's those types of systems you can have, but the need for you to fully understand what it is that you're building, the entire umbrella of the culture of the company or the movement. What is the exact messaging? Who exactly are you speaking to the loudest? Because oftentimes business owners get really excited that they think they can like help everybody. Like your Keep Smiling movement, it really does. It's something that is now global. And we can talk a little bit about how you got that global exposure through technology because of the times that we're living in. How incredibly awesome that is, that you can spread movements even faster than ever before because of that, with the technology and the internet and video and live feeds and whatnot. But we have to make sure that the message is clear, the branding is clear, the name makes sense, and build all these things, get your teams in place before you expect to blow up. I mean, there's back work, and I know you can use the power of media. I'm big in the media, so you can get those press releases put out that things are coming, and start using social media to like get people excited about what you're building. Get on board then and start doing it like 6 months in advance or more even. Start setting the stage for what you are working toward as you're trying to like filter out and clean up that brand and get that brand solidified. And what do you say, Ken? I mean, you started in a different place than you are today, and there's been some shifts, right, in your brand culture, because you're what you thought at first maybe ended up becoming a little bit different. You can pivot your brand a little bit, but you kind of still need to know why you would even start something like a movement, right?
Exactly. And I think there's a lot to be said for social proof too, that expedites the fact that your technology is going to work that much faster. If you have people that say you're doing great things and you're giving value, and if you're doing a movement and it's not impacting the world, you probably need to rethink whether you should do that movement, because we are addressing the fact that there's a world of people that are depressed. There's a world of people that are living without hope. And there's certainly a world living like they're feeling alone. And so our movement was really about bringing people together, having acceptance as a very high meaning to what a smile is supposed to be. When you smile at somebody, you're not smiling at a person saying, okay, you deserve a smile, you don't. You're smiling because you're feeling joy, feeling love, and love is acceptance. So we wanted to teach that if you smile, you change your mindset. And when you change your mindset, you get more creative. And when you get more creative, all the things you have in place, technology included, obviously starts showing up as efficiency. It starts showing up as power. It starts showing up as abundance. So we have been very fortunate that our Smile campaign attracts people like yourself. So we get that great advice. We create a team, and you're one of our extended board members that really has made such a difference, because there's not that many people using augmented reality. And when they see it, it makes you stand out. So if you're a business person, you don't have a book, one consideration is the technology of actually having a book and knowing how to use that book to get email addresses and to position yourself as the business to trust, the business that's the expert, and then have all the stuff that's included in a book, i.e. QR codes, email capture, and use the book as also a lead gen. So it's so important that you are actually creating a legacy piece and position yourself as an expert using technology.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. There's so many wonderful things. I mean, this is such a complex subject, but we're trying really hard to kind of like get you some bite-sized nugget takeaways when you're watching and listening on this interview, because you can implement these whether you're doing a movement or not. And I know that you guys showed up a lot in person, your team, your small team, taking photos of red carpet events, and then getting celebrity influencers to acknowledge this Keep Smiling card, where they would get their picture taken holding a Keep Smiling card. And you wouldn't even have to explain much to them. You just said, hey, do you mind if I take your photo? And most people love to have their photo taken if they're a celebrity influencer or any kind of influencer or a leader, because hey, yeah, more publicity for me. But then they get excited about the movement because it's such a positive thing. So let's talk a little bit about the need to actually be showing up more places. Yours was a lot of physical events. Right now, we're not doing a lot of physical events in 2020 because of the shelter in place still and the need for just social distancing. But tell us a little bit about what that was like. I mean, how many years of seeding and getting in front of celebrity influencers did it take before you felt that the exponential growth started to happen? What I'm getting at is aligning yourself with influencers. How critical is that?
Well, if you want to go hyper fast, it is critical. And if you want social proof on, I guess, a steroid level, you need to have influencers that say you're trustworthy, no harm will happen, you're safe, etc. Because that in this world where people are being exploited and not told the truth, all you have to do is go to reviews and see that is true. But that's a lot of reason why we didn't actually say to a celebrity, hey, please take a picture, or would you hold this card? It was, hey, you cause a lot of smiles in the world. Would you mind if we honor you in a book? And that language actually caused a 2-second or 1-second decision of, sure, I'll be happy to do that. But they also saw that there were so many other celebrities that were holding the card, and it was easy to see that we wouldn't be showing them if it wasn't legitimate. And it's also picking the events. We were in the personal development and leadership events, and the more we did them, the more we got known as the go-to company that will get the photos up the next day, that you're going to be taken care of. I mean, when you're dealing with celebrities and influencers, you have to know the type of language that is appropriate, because you can't get starstruck. You have to just serve them quickly, and you have to move away, let them have their space, because otherwise it's more of a paparazzi move. So you really need to have permission, and you need to have full access. And we earned all that because of our trust.
That's beautiful. There's also so much power in showing up in person. So we talk a lot on Tech with Heart about what you can do to increase your visibility online, but we need to make sure that we, in a healthy environment, how important the actual showing up in physical flesh is. Allowing somebody to look into your real eyes and see your real genuine smile on your face, and perhaps, in the future, shake a hand or bump an elbow or whatever, to just make that connection. And then being able to have multimedia materials to be able to hand out to them, like you have those Keep Smiling cards. Can you show us a Keep Smiling card right now? Do you have any with you?
Not only can I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to show you a stack of them. Normally I only have a couple handy, but I just ran out. And so actually I have a whole box over there with 2,000 of them in there. So we order 100,000 of these cards at a time, and they are media cards. And in the back, they have the information that you can actually go to get your photo, or you can just go to keepsmilingmovement.com. And what was the other question you had? You had two questions there, I think.
Just to have materials when if you show up and you're able to have an exhibit booth or something, where you're able to hand out some materials.
Oh, you said the importance of being at the events.
Yeah.
So we started a company called Big Events USA, so that people that are focused on the top 1% of what they're doing typically get roughly 57% efficiency in their life. So if you're going to all kinds of things, you're spread out thin, you're overwhelmed, and you don't know what you're juggling with all the cards. But if you look at what you're doing and you try and drill it down to 1% and no more than 5%, you'll find that your efficiency of getting to where you want to go, technologically and otherwise, will be expeditiously quicker. And so I can't encourage people enough to drill down and say, hey, I am in the leadership, or I'm in veterans, or I am in personal development, or I'm in technology, whatever it is, and find out what the best events are, because there may be 100 to 100,000 events that are technology events. Find out what the best ones are and just put your time there, even at the cost being 10 times more, because your time is valuable, but you're going to meet the people that are playing at that level.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for that. Yes, sometimes there's quite a bit of an investment that it takes to get to those bigger players, but like the level of exponential growth you can experience from being connected to that level of player is just absolutely worth it. Yeah, and who knows where, who they know, those big 10 players. So thank you for that. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Ken a little bit more about technology, systems, and media that he particularly used recently to really blow up when they had National Smiling Day at the end of May. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to Tech with Heart. We are with special guest Ken Rochon, and we are talking about what it takes to create a movement successfully in our digital era. And he has the Keep Smiling movement that we're speaking a little bit about. But now we're going to ask Ken, what technologies and media and systems did you put in place that really has helped your growth, especially online, these last maybe 6 months or so?
Well, Facebook is where we find our biggest market of people that are leaders, authors, and speakers. When we meet them, everyone's on Facebook and they're more social there. And since it's a social movement, we wanted to make sure that our group was set there first and foremost. And I think that sometimes we put groups and all these things and all these platforms, and yeah, it's great about consistency. But if you're going to have a finite amount of time, drill hard into one, build that platform, and then move to another, is my opinion, because otherwise you're going to have small impact in each and you're going to get tired of it. So we went hard and heavy for 2 weeks before, maybe it was only 1 week before National Keep Smiling Week. We had 0 people in the group, 1 when I started the group, and now it's 2,300. And it's very active, extremely active. We had the group invite over 10,000 people. So it's a matter of time before they see or hear it, because your notifications don't always say, hey, I'm here, you haven't dealt with this notification. But it takes a lot of energy. And if you're willing to put in energy, you get that energy back. And I think anybody who's at the top of their game will tell you they're probably putting 10 times more energy in than they're getting back. So there is an inefficiency to it. But if you can climb yourself to the top 1%, you become the focal point and everyone wants to be hanging with you. So you get that back eventually. And I'd like to encourage your audience to read anything by Malcolm Gladwell, but specifically Tipping Point, because the integration of technology with understanding the tipping point aspect of there's math in everything, and there's reasons why things convert and why they don't convert, why traffic happens, why it doesn't happen. So I think the art of numbers and the science of numbers is really a very good focal point to understand why technology works too. And I was a DJ in the past, and so if I went to an event and I just forgot only one thing, just one thing, there's no show. So that's how important remembering how variables all play together. And we started on Facebook, and with this Keep Smiling, we created a board of directors. And so having a board work with you, advise you as mentorship, and having a tech person on that board, or at least an ancillary liaison. We had 3 people that were tech, you being one of them, that were keeping us abreast of what needed to be in place for a launch. And, my website was not looking good. My kenrochon.com, it was actually really bad. And then the Umbrella Syndicate, I hadn't been paying attention because I'd focused so much on the movement that had also had an issue with the server or something. So having tech people fix things like that, it makes you look so good, because when people see a horrible looking business card, or they see you're doing a movement, they do a Google search for you, and the first thing that comes up is your website, and then you go to it and it says, down or whatever. That's really a bad sign that you are either fraudulent or not paying attention or not professional. I mean, it's all kinds of possibilities. So I can't emphasize enough that we got all our ducks in a row. And I want to give a shout out to our board, because when I don't do that, I feel like there's a focus on me coming up with all these ideas, and I'm only at best a visionary on this. So Barry Shore is the person who came up with the actual Keep Smiling card back in 1999, is handed out to 1.5 million people, either through his website. So his website is unbelievable. And you can get the Keep Smiling cards from the Keep Smiling movement. And then there's Crystal Richardson, who is the COO, and then Andrea Adams Miller, which obviously is the person that connects all of our authors. So if you're an author of a Keep Smiling book, you're not only doing a book that's legacy, get on Amazon, which is another technological tool for searchability, but you're also getting to get on all kinds of radio shows. Since the movement, we have done roughly 100 shows with our authors, showing up and taking the opportunity of being with people like yourself. And not only that, but I would say roughly 20 of the authors are podcasters. And as you know, we are making our 114th book, Michelle, and you are in that book yet again. So you're in the marketing book, you're in your own book, and I think you're in the women empowerment book, but we have a podcaster book, the best positive podcasters in the world. And you obviously are someone that not only fits there, but you're a leader in that, because you're dealing with the fact that it's not just the positivity, but it's the actual technology of actually showing that positivity, and that positivity showing up in the world so people can actually support it. If you are the best content in the world, but you don't have technology, you might actually flatline. You just won't have people that know about you. So you're a secret. And that's not something you want to be in business. That's not something you want to be as an author. That's not something you want to be in a movement either. You have to be really out there.
So thank you for all of that. Wonderful greatness. I'm telling you, we know how important technology is. I'm a big advocate of a multimedia approach too, because you can touch people with technology, but you also can use technology to touch even offline. And you had mentioned books. And the one thing that I was really attracted to is that you're not just on a movement to help people realize that they can spread smiles and have it go viral, and just spread positivity and joy in a time where people could really use that. You're providing something physical if they so choose to spread the movement that way. Beyond the Keep Smiling cards, you're creating books with these authors, these influencers who are bringing in their circles of influence. Each book has about 100 different photos inside of different influencers with quotes underneath from those influencers. And these books are getting printed and spread and shared out. What a beautiful gift to send somebody, they call them what, bathroom books or something, where you can just like keep it around a coffee table book, where people can just flip through it and see all these different beautiful faces lit up where they're holding a Keep Smiling card and they're smiling and there's a beautiful quote underneath. I love that. So let's talk about what it takes systems-wise to put something like that together. What kind of technology are you guys utilizing when it comes to putting these authors and these influencers and these photos? Because photos are another form of media that really help, provide a message too. So
we are still in the process, admittedly, of moving everything into more of an automated scale. We intend, now that we broke 100 books, to actually get to 1,000. You can't get to 1,000 books with a human touch or a human team. You have got to have technology in place. So I'll tell you the vision that's actually not just static. It's actually in implementation form. Is we have 10,000 photos of people holding the Keep Smiling card, of which maybe 4,000 have been named. So if I'd met you 5 or 6 years ago, I may not have asked you your name. I may have just taken your photo. We didn't know we were going to do this movement 5 years ago. So the photos are labeled by all kinds of different meta tags. So those meta tags can include, this is an author, this person lives in St. Louis, this person is bald, this person is a women empowerment person, this person is an advocate for Black women rights, etc. Whatever it is, we have all the meta tags. So someone that says, I want to do a book, they can actually put those meta tags in. The photos come forward and they actually pull them and select them. And when they do that, they have their 50 to 100 that they're able to select. They have a template that is very TED Talk-ish. And that TED Talk is the journey of who you are, because the bigger and more powerful your journey is, the more unstoppable you are to create your who, the more your integrity is to make a difference in the world. That's what we found unequivocally. And so we found that people with big who's have a big why. And if you look at, for instance, Bill Gates, huge, obviously, success, but the bigger his success was, the more he decided to actually be a purpose-driven person. And so I see him on all kinds of technological programming that talks about the math and the science of what's happening with the world. And it's really cool to see that his mind that was geared towards entrepreneurism is being used, and technology is now being used to actually save our planet by being an influencer. So that's the why part, and then the how part is how you deliver your intelligence, how you deliver your smile, how you deliver your impact, and that's through abundance, that's through hope, inspiration, smiles, obviously. And so we have found that people like yourself, Michelle, are actually angel leaders. They care to be a leader, but they care to be a leader with impact and integrity. And so we're showcasing them in books, and we found the biggest variable with regard to these books is the pathway to their heart, the pathway to see the vulnerability that they're committed and they deliver. And then they can just be Googled afterwards and say, yep, Google says, 900 5-star reviews, and that's why it gels so beautifully together. And the fact that you get to pick your 100 people is that those people may not know your true story. So Michelle, you may have told 5 of your 100 people, but you may not have ever said, hey, I want to tell all of them. Well, they get the choice to read your book. When they read it, they get moved by the heart. And they say, I can't wait to tell people I'm in Michelle's book. I can't wait to tell Michelle's story, because that's the tough thing about storytelling from a stage. You hear it, you're moved, you want to buy from the person, you love the person. But then someone said, well, can you tell their story? You say, I can't remember everything. And you didn't practice it, of course. But with these books, you can actually practice a little 5 or 10-minute presentation for somebody. We make most of our introductions by using the book. So if I say, hey, Michelle, I want to introduce you to RJ, our bot builder. I think you guys would be great together. RJ's written a Keep Smiling book just like you. Can I send each of you your books? You take 10 minutes to read it and you go, oh my gosh, RJ's heart is so beautiful. She's like me. We're going to get along great. So you just expedited the relationship, background of relatedness, and just want to be a friend automatically.
So that is the beautiful human connection part of different technologies that you're able to use, because you're already addressing metadata through photographs, and keyword searches and SEO. We all need more of those tags and things like that. When you're put photos up on social media, make sure you're tagging your photos. When you're building these books, you're obviously, you're putting it out through different resources, using titles online when books are published. Those things help with the SEO, your name's being dropped more often, so that helps. But you spoke really loudly about the need to connect other influencers together, and just like we all lift and encourage each other up and we share more story. You mentioned the 955 5-star reviews. So social proof, getting people to share why they love what you're doing out loud online is huge for a movement. It's huge for your business. I can't recommend it more. It's great when they can type something. It's even greater when they can type something and do a video. So there's different ways you can incentivize people to get on video, especially if you're able to be on with them right then and there. Get them on Zoom, and just say, hey, ask them a question about what they love so much, and ask if it's okay if you record it after they've done a great testimonial. Say, is that okay if I share that as a testimonial? Almost always they'll say yes. So that's my recommendation when it comes to different technologies, how to use media. Definitely greater when you're able to have a multimedia approach, because people do love tangible items that they can hold on to in physical. So Ken, as a wrap up, we definitely realize how valuable it is to have a social goodness attached to a business. Your Keep Smiling movement is a phenomenal movement of spreading joy and positivity across this earth. So how can people get in touch with you if they are interested in becoming part of your movement, or just reaching out and saying, hey, Ken, I really like you. I would love to, have you join my circle of, influencers or whatnot.
Well, our website is thekeepsmilingmovement.com, but I would say the best way to reach us and really be noticed is through our Facebook group. It's called The Keep Smiling Ambassadors. So it's facebook.com/groups/ The Keep Smiling Ambassadors. And I do want to say something about being in a group, because I forgot to say that part. When you join a group, if you join a group just to join a group, you just waste your time, because you're just another member that's not active or is going to show up. So we have some superstars in our group of the 2,300, and here's proof of it. Barbara Palmer, Rick Stilecki, Ronald Monk. Those are 3 people I can tell you show up in that group. We are now getting them in books. We're getting them on podcasts, because they're showing up as someone that actually believes in the movement, but also is showing up as a leader in the group. So when you're in a group, probably staying active instead of going heavy burst into maybe 4 or 5 posts or going crazy with all the likes and stuff. Just pace yourself and say, hey, I'm in this group. I'm committed to this group. I'm committed to this message. I'm just going to do 5 minutes a day. And you will actually show up as a rising star leader. Facebook does keep track of that. They keep track of how many posts you do, how many likes you do. And the burnout, real quick, fast stuff means that you're a flash in the pan. No one can take you seriously. So do it for a month. Watch how you show up in the group, and watch how all of a sudden business comes to you, opportunity comes to you, but most importantly, respect.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your movement with us and sharing your heart with us, and coming on here and giving us some tips on how to get, a little bit more visibility and grow your business, and help it go viral if you have a really great movement. Or if you're in business and you want to connect yourself with a social cause, you can join Ken's movement. You can say, hey, we're doing this, and every certain percentage is going to go towards this social cause. People love getting behind social cause. If you'd like to support Tech with Heart Foundation, we are now a 501c3, and we would love your continued support. So you can go to techwithheartnetwork.com and join our group for free, or you can join our group as a member and pay a one-time fee to just support the cause and get a business directory listing. That is something that we're getting going here really soon. And if you're interested in getting interviewed as an influencer yourself on the Tech with Heart TV show, or perhaps in our Tech with Heart network as a Facebook Live, just reach out to us again, techwithheartnetwork.com, or you can reach out to me at mcalloway@techwithheartfoundation.org. So thank you so much, Ken, for reaching out. For showing up today and giving us your wonderful smile and words of wisdom. And I pray that your movement continue to touch hearts and light up faces. And one of my favorite quotes about a smile is that a smile can be seen from the inside out. It shines through your eyes and expresses itself through your lips.
Beautiful. And everybody that's listening, please understand it's the world's movement, not mine.
It's the world's, yeah, we need more of what you've got and what you're pushing. More smiles. All right, well, have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us on Tech with Heart.